Well guys, we've been over most of the monsters in MH3U except for one, Alatreon. Alatreon is, in my opinion, the hardest monster to fight in the entire game. He uses every element, is extremely mobile, and he hits like a truck. He also makes some of the coolest weapons and armors in the game, so you'll definitely want to fight this guy eventually. Also, keep in mind, I am by no means an expert in fighting this guy, but this is my strategy and it seems to work so far. So, some basic information on Alatreon. Alatreon is an elder dragon, but he's not nearly as large as Gen or Dire Miralis. So, fighting him is more akin to fighting something like a very, very large Rathalos. In order to fight this guy, you'll need to unlock his quest first, which is a battle in itself. If you plan on fighting him solo, you'll need to do every single village quest. I mean, every single one, including like catching goldfish and whatnot. And then you'll unlock a quest called Mark of a Hero. After you do Mark of a Hero, you'll unlock the Brilliant Darkness. That's Alatreon's quest. If you want to fight him online, you simply need to be HR5 and check the downloadable quests for one called Where Gods Fear to Tread. This is what you should probably start out on because he's significantly weaker than his G-rank counterpart and it's relatively easy to access. If you're looking for a G-rank Alatreon, there's an HR8 downloadable quest called The Second Coming that'll suit your fancy. So before we get started, let's talk about equipment first. It's important to have decent resistances all around because Alatreon uses a variety of attacks. I recommend a combination of Stygian and regular Ogre armor because it has ample dragon resist and I prefer the skills it has. Another good armor set to use is the Helios armor. Some skills you might want to get are Evasion, Evade Distance, Dragon or Ice Attack, Expert, Earplugs Attack Up, and Sharpness. Having someone with rad range would also be helpful to your party as well, but it really depends on your preferences and what weapon you're using. In terms of weapons, you'll definitely want to use either an Ice or a Dragon, as those are his two major weaknesses. I'm using the Raiders Ice Carvers because they're ice, and I have a knack for using dual blades, and they also have a high affinity. I've heard good things about Slime as well, but I prefer to use ice just because I think it does more damage. Before you start, make sure you have everything you need. Potions, Mega Potions, Max Potions, Blue Mushrooms, Herbs, Honey, and Meat are always useful so you can make more potions in the middle of the battle. You might also want to bring a Farcaster if things go south, and don't forget a cool drink. The battle takes place in a volcano so you'll need them. I recommend eating something that gives you all resistances so you don't take additional damage from its attacks. If you steam veggies and wine, you can get Dragon, Fire, Thunder, and Ice resists. If you have Cha-Cha and Kayamba, make sure they aren't wearing useless masks. Don't take any shock traps either because they won't work. Now that the logistical things are out of the way, let's get into the battle. Alatreon is surprisingly quick and can attack from the ground and in the air. What I like to do is stay next to Alatreon's back legs. Never stand in front of Alatreon because that's where most of his attacks come from. The most deadly is probably the Dragon Charge. Another attack you'll want to be on the lookout for is the Ice and Fire attacks. Alatreon doesn't seem to use them too often, but they are both frontal elemental attacks. When you're to the side of Alatreon, the only thing you really need to worry about is his lightning AoE. When Alatreon starts calling down Thunderbolts, I'd recommend putting some distance between the two of you, but it is possible to avoid the Thunderbolts by staying under him. If you're behind Alatreon, he can do a quick tailspin, which will also transition into his flying mode. While he's flying, he becomes a lot harder for melee attackers to actually hit. When he goes into flying mode, watch out for his Thunder Slams and his Thunder Charge. His Thunder Charge is very quick and can be hard to avoid if you don't see it coming. His Thunder Slams remind me of Kuropeku's explosive jumps, but they're pretty easy to avoid as long as you keep running perpendicular to him. In fact, whenever he's flying, I always strafe him until he doesn't attack, and then I run in and get a couple swipes in. Sometimes Alatreon will fly very high up in the sky so you can't really attack him. When he does this, just keep moving and stay out of the shadows because he's raining ice shards on you. Don't clump up with your team here, just stay separated and keep moving. Eventually you'll get a message saying that the Ballista Binder is ready to use. There is a Ballista Binder in the top of the map that you could use to knock Alatreon out of the air and put him down for a few seconds. Keep in mind you can only do this once every 5 minutes or so, and it only works when he is flying. I recommend coordinating with your team so you can get in as many hits as possible. That about covers it for attacks, but there are some strategies many hunters use to make the battle go as quickly as possible. One popular tactic is called sleep bombing, which is a great way to break his horn. The goal here is to put him to sleep and use barrel bombs to blow his horns to bits. Usually these teams will have a sleep weapon, a sleep gunner, and 2 damage dealers. The sleeper should probably have Bombardier and status attack in their skill set, as well as plenty of bombs and bomb materials. Now let's take a look at some of the Alatreon gear. High rank Alatreon armor, besides looking awesome, has some really neat skills and higher defense than most G-rank armors. It has evade distance, elemental, gloves off, flight resistance, and double stun on it. The G-rank armor has more defense, double stun, evade distance, elemental, unscathed, and free element on it. In terms of weapons, they all look ridiculously cool, have huge attack, and lots of dragon damage. So there you have it, some tips and tricks for Alatreon. Remember, the best way to learn him is to simply keep some distance and watch his attacks while you fight him on your own. Make sure your armor has high defense and high resistances. I use a combination of Stygian and regular Zinogre due to the skills and the high dragon resist. You can steam veggies and wine for food resists. Alatreon is weak to ice and dragon, so make sure your weapon has one of those two elements. Many of his attacks hit directly in front of him. Your safest bet is probably his back legs. You can knock him out of the air and get a few seconds of damage in on him with the Ballista Binder. Just don't miss. Sleep bombing can shave off a few minutes of the battle. Putting Alatreon to sleep and bombing his head will cause massive damage to his horns as well. Make sure the person who detonates the bomb only hits the bombs. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment and I'll see if I can help. Thanks for watching, everyone, and if this is popular, maybe I'll make more formal guides like this for other monsters. If you enjoyed this, please leave a like and subscribe if you're not already. I also want to thank ProLetter for allowing me to use his music. There is a link to his website in the description. Good luck, hunters!